Disabled by Wilfred Owen, 1893 to 1918. He sat in a wheeled chair waiting for dark, and shivered in his ghastly suit of grey, legless, sewn short at elbow. Through the park voices of boys rang saddening like a hymn, voices of play and pleasure after day, till gathering sleep had mothered them from him. About this time town used to swing so gay, when glow lamps budded in the light blue trees, and girls glanced lovelier as the air grew dim. In the old times, before he threw away his knees. Now he will never feel again how slim girls' waists are, or how warm their subtle hands. All of them touch him like some queer disease. There was an artist silly for his face, for it was younger than his youth last year. Now he is old, his back will never brace. He's lost his colour very far from here, poured it down shell holes till the veins ran dry, and half his lifetime lapsed in the hot race, and leap of purple spurted from his thigh. One time he liked a blood smear down his leg, after the matches carried shoulder high. It was after football, when he'd drunk a peg, he thought he'd better join. He wonders why. Someone had said he'd look a god in kilts. That's why. And maybe too, to please his Meg. Aye, that was it. To please the giddy jilts. He asked to join. He didn't have to beg. Smiling they wrote his lie, aged 19 years. Germans he scarcely thought of, and no fears of fear came yet. He thought of jewelled hilts for daggers in plaid socks, of smart salutes and care of arms and leave, and pay arrears, esprit de corps and hints for young recruits, and soon he was drafted out with drums and cheers. Some cheered him home, but not as crowds cheer, "Go!" Only a solemn man who brought him fruits thanked him, and then inquired about his soul. Now he will spend a few sick years in institutes, and do what things the rules consider wise, and take whatever pity they may dole. Tonight he noticed how the woman's eyes passed from him to the strong men that were whole. How cold and late it is. Why don't they come and put him into bed? Why don't they come? Okay, this is a poem by Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen was born in Shropshire, and he grew up in Birkenhead and in Shrewsbury. He went to Reading University. He signed up in 1915 for the First World War. He was suffering from shell shock and was sent to an army hospital in Edinburgh, where he met Siegfried Sassoon, who became his mentor. Siegfried Sassoon is another great war writer, and Sassoon helped Wilfred Owen with his poetry, and gave him many ideas. I think he helped to get him published as well. Sadly, Owen was killed I think about a week before the end of the war, and he was aged 25. So what's this poem about? Well, this poem is about the result of the war, or the results for one injured soldier. And this poem is showing the life before and the life after of an injured soldier, of a mutilated soldier. And I think this soldier that has no arms and no legs, disabled. That's the title, and it says it all. This soldier is disabled. He sat in a wheeled chair waiting for dark. So he's sitting in a wheelchair and he's waiting for it to get dark. The sun's going down. And shivered in his ghastly suit of grey, legless, sewn short at elbow. So he's cold, and his ghastly suit of grey, well, maybe he's dressed in grey clothes that have been sewn short at the elbow. It's been sewn off. They're no sleeves, because he's got no arms. But I think also his ghastly suit of grey, I think maybe grey indicates his colour. It talks about the world, it talks about his prospects, it talks about his attitude of life. Everything is grey. So he's got no legs and he's got no arms. Through the park, voices of boys rang, saddening like a hymn. So he can hear in the park, or the other side of the park, he's probably sitting on the edge of the park, he can hear the voices of boys playing, and it makes him sad. It's like a hymn. It's a hymn. It's a sad sound. Voices of play and pleasure after day. So the voices of young people, they're playing, they're happy after the day has finished, till gathering sleep had mothered them from him. So as time is going by, it's getting dark, it's getting later, and sleep has taken the boys away from the park, because their mothers are telling them to go home, and sleep has caused their mothers to tell them it's time to come home, because it's time for bed soon, bedtime. About this time, town used to swing so gay, when glow lamps budded in the light blue trees, and girls glanced lovelier as the air grew dim. So in the past, at this time where the sun was going down, when the dark was coming, when glow lamps, when there were lamps in the trees, and I think these lamps are glowing blue, or the trees look blue. So there are lamps shining, and town used to be so happy at this time, and the girls looked even lovelier as the light grew dim, as the light started to go. So town used to be great at this time in the evening, with lights coming up, which were hung in various trees, and the girls looked lovely. In the old times, before he threw away his knees, and he's thinking about how it used to be, how things used to be before he became disabled, before he lost his legs. So then he could have looked at the girls, could have walked through the town, could have seen all the beautiful things. He could have courted the girls. Now he will never feel again how slim girls' waists are, or how warm their subtle hands. So he'll never again will he put his arm around a girl's waist and feel how slim it is, or feel how warm their hands are. All of them touch him like some queer disease. Now if a girl touches him, it's like he's infected, that they might get the disease of his of being disabled from him by touching him. He's like a strange illness, and they touch him. There was an artist silly for his face, for it was younger than his youth last year. So there was an artist who was crazy about his face. I think this artist probably wanted to draw his face. The artist was crazy about his face because his face was younger than his youth. His face looked even younger than he really was last year, but not this year. This is how it used to be. Now he is old. Now he looks like an old man. His back will never brace. So to brace is to push. His back will never do the hard work. His back will never push or pull or do any of these things. He's lost his colour very far from here. So he used to have colour in his face, red cheeks, but now all of the colour has gone from him. Poured it down shell holes till the veins ran dry. So his blood has gone down shell holes. These are the holes that are made by artillery. And he bled into shell holes until his veins didn't have any more to give, and that's where his colour has gone. It's a very nice metaphor. He has bled his life or his colour out into the shell holes, and half his lifetime lapsed in the hot race, and leap of purple spurted from his thigh, and it seemed like he was there for a lifetime, watching the blood race from him, watching the purple blood spurting coming out of his thigh. So he's lying in a shell hole and he's bleeding to death. One time he liked a blood smear down his leg after the matches carried shoulder high. So there would have been a time when he was quite happy with a smear of blood on his leg. After the matches, this is after a football match where they won, and he's being carried on somebody's shoulders, so he's got a smear of blood on his leg from playing football, and it looks good. It looks like makes him look like a hero. But now he doesn't look like a hero. So before, with all of his limbs, a smear of blood on his leg made him look cool. And everybody was proud of him and thought that he was a hero because they'd helped win the football match. They'd won the football match. But now he's been to war and he's been severely injured. Nobody cares. It was after football when he drunk a peg. So one day after football, he drunk a lot too much alcohol. And he thought he'd better join. It would be good to join the army. He wonders why. And now he said, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh, fated decision. Someone had said he'd look a god in kilts. So somebody had said that he would look like a god wearing a kilt. So he's joining some Scottish regiment. And he's going to look like a god. He's a hero. Everybody's going to be incredibly proud of him going to war. Yes, isn't he brave? Isn't he wonderful? Yeah, our brave boys going to war. And now he's thinking, but this is a juxtaposition. Because now that he comes back, now that he's served, now that he's injured, he feels like nothing. That's why. So maybe that was why. And maybe too to please his Meg. I think Meg was his girlfriend. Aye, that was it. To please the giddy jilts he'd asked to join. Okay, so to jilt. To jilt is or a jilt is a woman who leaves her lover, who runs away, who casts off her lover without feeling. So clearly he's been jilted. Giddy is dizzy, without things. So he joined in order to please the girls, in order to please his girl Meg. But clearly Meg now has jilted him. She's deserted him. She wants to know nothing about him. He didn't have to beg to join up. Smiling, they wrote his lie, aged 19 years. So they asked him how old he was, and he said, I'm 19, and he's probably 16. And the recruiting officers, they wrote his lie, smiling. We understand. Good lad, go on, you join. Germans he scarcely thought of. He didn't think of Germans. What are Germans? They're not relevant. And no fears of fear came yet. So, and he was not afraid of being frightened. Because the only thing really to be afraid of is fear itself. And notice the capital F here, fear personified. So he wasn't frightened of being afraid. This fear was not something that he could imagine when he's joining up. He thought of jewel hilts for daggers in plaid socks. So this jewel, the hilt is the handle of a dagger, and with a kilt you wear a dagger normally in your sock. I think it's got a dirk. And he's thinking about the handle with jewels for his dagger in his tartan socks, of smart salutes and care of arms, looking after his gun, and leave and going on leave from the army, and pay arrears and being paid the money, esprit de corps, so the spirit of the group, and hints for young recruits. So he's got all of these ideas of how wonderful it will be. It's all going to be with my mates, and looking after the guns, and going out on leave, and impressing the girls, and looking elegant. And soon he was drafted out with drums and cheers. And soon he left. And soon they took him away. They marched them out, the recruits out from the town, and there were drums and there were cheers. The crowds were cheering, because the crowds were normally cheering as the soldiers went away. Some cheered him home, but not as crowds cheer goal. So when he came back, he was also cheered, but not in the same way, that the excited way that a crowd cheers when they see their team score a goal. He was cheered home, but it was very muted, very quiet. Only a solemn man who brought him fruits thanked him. So only one person came to thank him when he came back, a man who brought him fruits, and then inquired about his soul. So this man who brought him fruits, this is the priest, and the priest thanks him and brings him some fruit. Now he will spend a few sick years in institutes. So from now on he will only be in various different institutions, because he needs looking after. He hasn't got any arms, he hasn't got any legs, so what can he do? And do what the rules consider wise, and he will follow the rules. There's no other way. And take whatever pity they may dole, and be the recipient of whatever kindness they may distribute to him. So from now on he will live in institutes, and he will live a few years. He's not going to live a long time. Tonight he noticed how the women's eyes passed from him to the strong men that were whole. So tonight he watches how the women, if they look at him, their eyes immediately pass on to other men who are strong, who are whole, who aren't injured. How cold and late it is. It's cold, it's late, the sun's gone. Why don't they come and put him into bed? So he's waiting for the people who look after him. He's waiting for the nurses to come and put him to bed. Why don't they come? And now he's totally dependent. So a very sad, very poignant poem. The Consequences of War. Disabled by Wilfred Owen.